We're live. Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to Blue Mondays, the first episode of the year 2025. It went in with, it's been a great year so far, 6 days in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm alive.
Still here.
We're still here.
Right. Made it through.
And with us, joining us tonight is Kossatot from Fort Smith. Tell us who you are. Tell us your names. Where are you
John
from?
Coleman, lead vocals and guitar, Fort Smith, Arkansas.
I'm Chris Brown. I play bass. Bryce Sebo. I also play guitar.
I'm Hoemaha Coin.
Johnny Winkle, hey.
Glad you're with us today.
Thank you.
So y'all are a lot more into the metal scene,
Yeah.
from what I've heard. We have a lot of common interest. Let me turn my volume down.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Real professional.
Right.
We're gonna be hanging out and just sitting around and talking. Their drummer unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. We were looking forward to that, but they'll be back. So more to come here in a little bit.
Right.
Hey, Robin, how you doing? Mr. Greg Lawson, good to see you. Hey, Aaron, how you doing? I was introduced to the Fort Smith music scene through some of our mutual friends in the blues scene. Played the IBC, this most recent one, and we played. We did the blues festival down there at the Majestic.
Oh, yeah.
Down there once, and I saw Trailer Trash Tammy out there once too.
Yeah, she did.
me and my wife went and saw that. It was pretty funny. I haven't really got a chance to hang out in the Fort Smith music scene, and I'd really like to check it out. There's a lot of questions I have for y'all on the type of music scene it is out there. Y'all come also from a heavy metal background, you know. I admire a lot of heavy metal musicians, hard rock, you know, because I'm a product of the 70s. It was a cold winter's day, and, you know, here I come along. And, but I kind of grew up on that 70s hard rock, you know, Ozzy and Montrose and stuff like that.
I love
you know.
Montrose, man. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, man. Bad Motor Scooter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what influenced.
I've still got that vinyl.
Yeah, we
I've
were
still got
talking
those
earlier
vinyls.
about a song that we have hanged. Actually, that's what influenced the guitar solo, and that is the guitar solo in Bad Motor Scooter. I was just like, dude, I want to write a solo where we just sit on one note, and I just rip on one note.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole solo, like, you know, and yeah, so.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite things about. I play with the looper a lot when nobody's around,
Yeah.
just because it's fun. That's the
Oh,
Donner Circle looper. That's one of the best
Nice,
loopers I've
nice.
ever bought. I've had a lot of them, and that thing is fantastic. It comes with a drummer, not as good as this one, by any means, but
Right.
it comes with a drummer to hang out with, you know, and while you're by yourself and lonely. I forgot where we was going with that, but yeah, you know, playing that sort of.
Yeah. But as far as the Fort Smith scene goes, like, it's up and down at times. There's times where it's really thriving, and there's times where, you know, things happen and it just kind of falls apart. And I mean, that's kind of a common thing in music, though. I do want to put that out there. It's just life happens sometimes. Being a musician, and sometimes it's hard keeping a local scene up and running when there's not a lot of money being kicked around and things
Right.
like that. So
Right.
you know, but like we've seen it. We've seen a lot of bands come and go over 15 years. There's some really good ones that have came, and then, you know, there's some that, you know, they took them a minute to find their sound, and some of them we saw maybe once or twice and never saw again. Like, so
Right.
you know, the older guys. There's a lot of older guys that frequent the scene, like Gary Hutchinson, and he's like a really good guitar teacher around the area. A lot of kids have taken lessons from him, and a lot of our peers in the metal scene actually have learned from him. Funny enough, Quentin Pratt, a younger kid that I have started, there's another metal band that I've kind of started side projecting with, and he plays guitar, but he learned from Gary. And a lot of the, you know, he played in a blues band, Oreo Blue. And so there is a good blues scene out there. Good Luck Slim. Dirty Blue was a band that was out there, but as of recent, I still don't know what's going on with that. It's kind of up in the air. I don't know you know, what's going to happen with them
Right.
moving forward, really. But they were a band that we played a lot with, which is funny because you wouldn't hear of a metal band playing with a blues band a lot, but it just kind of, they played a more aggressive version of blues. To
Right.
me, it was more similar to what the blues started out as, like the Delta blues.
Right.
It was grimy, it was gritty, a little bit sleazy, you know. So that, yeah, but that's why it worked in a way, you know. That's why those shows worked out. And there were some cool thrash bands we played with growing up. Savage Spawn used to be in Turnasign.
They were awesome.
They switched to being a blues band after
Oh, wow.
a while, but they were more from Fayetteville scene. But we just ended up kind of entangling with them, and we would bring them down to Fort Smith all the time, you know.
Right.
Come
Yeah.
on down and jam, you know.
Anytime that they were
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're down.
Yeah.
Is there a good
Yeah.
mingling between, say, Fort Smith and Fayetteville of
No.
musicians? No.
No. Well, okay, so it's a hard explanation. Yes and no. The musicians
Are awesome.
mingle and love each other and want things to happen, but between promoters and
Venues and
venue
whatnot.
owners and things just go awry. And it's the same thing with the scene in the city itself. Like I said earlier, Temple Live, I really appreciate them showing up and doing what they're doing for the scene.
Oh, yeah,
It
they've
kind of
been awesome.
interjected new
Yeah.
life into it.
Yeah.
And they threw us a bone, and like we opened for Saliva, and
That's awesome.
It was
Oh,
it
yeah.
was great, man. They're what they're doing is amazing for the scene.
Right.
Honestly, that's we need more of that. We
Yeah.
need
Oh,
more
yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and
And their head guy too, that's
Yeah.
running all of it. Jesse's a damn madman. Like,
Yeah.
we played that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, when we played that big stage, you just pop out of everywhere.
oh,
Like he was all
he's
over
like the
that
craziest
place.
sound man you've ever seen in your life, like the world's best roadie or sound tech you've ever seen, man. Dude would just bam,
just
pop out
ready.
like, yeah, we need this, we need this, we need this. Just back in the shadows. You're like, bro, where did he go? Like, where is he at?
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played there. We did the IBC
Word.
up there, and so that was kind of a weird setup because I couldn't bring my own amp.
Mm.
I
I
could
hate
only have my guitar and my fingers. I had to play through whatever was on stage. That was bizarre.
We've been through a couple situations like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Playing
been
through an
a
amp
couple
you've never played
situations like
before.
Damn, that's
you
crazy.
know,
No.
Yeah.
I'm
You
not
know,
doing
We're
that.
actually-
you don't have any time to go down and find
Yeah.
you. So I just plugged in and here we go.
a lot of the times in those situations we've learned, so it's lessons learned. A lot of the time, if you're a sound guy and you tell us, hey, we have like this for you to play on and all this and all
Yeah.
this,
I'm bringing
don't
my gear.
bring any of your gear. I'm definitely bringing my gear.
Right. Right.
Definitely bringing
Yeah.
my gear, because in my experience we were told, so I got told I have a Diesel VH4, which is like my dream metal amp, right? Like that's like boutique $4,000 amp,
Oh,
dude.
nice,
Like the
nice.
nicest metal amp you could have. Diesel VH4, I got a Mesa Boogie bass cab, I got a DW drum kit, and we show up and the dude's got some PV thing with tubes blown that don't even work.
Oh.
And so he puts me through a little combo amp, and bass goes through a little Mesa combo amp, and then the drums, there's a hole in the head, and dude goes, tune around it. Tune around a hole in the drum head, sir?
Look.
Tune around a hole in the drum head, sir.
Were y'all,
Is that what you just said?
were y'all gonna play right before Rancid or something?
No, no. Not the same show. Not the same show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
we were joking about it too, because like
Yeah.
you know, every drummer that
Oh.
got on after the drummer who played, they think that they're the one who. Put
Oh
the
yeah.
hole in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It is kind of a funny joke because they're like, dude, they put a hole in this and told nobody. You know, like, but at the end of the day, like, we played the show and we showed out, and it was a great show. We played it. We really showed up. You know, it's like, okay, we'll play. We proved we could do it on anything. You know, give us anything and we can do it. You know.
Right.
That is the honest truth at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
you could hand us anything and we could do it, but preferably I want my gear.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because I know my gear's issues and I can fix my gear's issues on the fly. I don't know your gear, I can't fix it. I'm scared to touch most
Right.
people's gear because I'm just, it's
Yeah,
personal in a
yeah,
way, you know what
yeah.
I mean?
We played this show back whenever we were like 16, 17 years old, and there's this dude. His name's Eric Smithson. He's like
Oh,
he's
man.
an immaculate
Yes.
bassist. He's
Yes.
so good, and he's in like every hardcore death metal band in Fort Smith, Van Buren area. I swear he's their bassist. But he had this rig. And it had knobs
I mean,
everywhere.
bros,
Just
rack
knobs
mounted
everywhere.
the most. Like,
And we had the sound guy in the top. He was telling me, turn the knob
Turn that knob.
Turn
that knob.
My God.
Yeah, we're like in a venue. The soundboard's on the bottom of the ground. He's like upstairs in like this viewing room, like a overhang, like looking at us, talking through a mic, like turn that knob, turn that knob. Chris is like, what knob?
Which one?
Yeah, like
Less is more, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you play through at a bass rig?
Yeah,
What is
so
your setup?
we have an 18-inch PV cabinet, just a 1
Black
by
Widow.
18 Black Widow.
Nice.
And then I run a Ampeg Micro VR,
Yep.
so it's just a little tiny head
Yep.
that we sit on top
Ampeg
of.
is the way to go since
Yeah.
the 70s, man. You can't go wrong
Yeah.
with it.
You can't go wrong with that.
No,
Ampeg's
you're
nice.
also downplaying that like tiny ass Ampeg.
Dude,
it's
it's so
louder
small.
than all of us combined.
oh, yeah,
It's
right.
Insane.
Yeah, yeah.
The head is like this big, man.
Oh, it's same.
Tiny,
Yeah,
super
that's the thing. See, because as old as I am, I remember it was boat anchors, dude.
I
Right.
had
Any
one.
amplifier you had, it was a boat anchor.
I
Yeah.
bought.
And
I
now it's like this, you know.
Yeah.
I bought an SVT for a buddy of mine, which was like the big tower 810, where it's 8 10-inch speakers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the head's like this, and it weighs 200 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that tiny one is louder than everyone on
Wow.
stage or in the practice room.
That's insane. I played him through a Mark bass amp, and I was going to buy it, but he wouldn't break a deal with me. But I bought a Schecter 5-string Diamond Series stiletto,
There
the
you go.
natural wood. It was my first real bass that I'd gone out and bought myself. She was my baby for many years, and I plugged it into this Gallion Kruger backline 210.
Oh yeah, Gallion,
With
man.
300
oh my
watt,
God,
you know,
Yeah,
and
man.
I
Yeah,
hit-
they're amazing.
Hit that low B string, and it just kind of it made me feel good. And
Yeah.
the guy at the store came over and unplugged it and plugged me into a Mark bass amp. And
Oh,
I hit
yeah.
that low B string and
Yeah.
it rattled my soul a little bit. and
Yeah.
I was counting my money.
Yeah, I mean, the Mark bass can't go wrong. Trace Elliott can't go wrong.
Right.
Ampeg can't go wrong. There's a lot of great bass amps, man,
Hell,
that
they're
are
the-
solid. I mean, even Orange in later years has been producing some stuff that's outshining their older stuff that's just phenomenal, man.
the SWR Working Man's bass were a great bass rig too.
Yep.
Yep.
That wasn't bad at all. What do you what is your signature tone with your guitar? What is your
I'm probably the most boring out of all of us. Like if I'm going, so I've had a few over the years. Like I've run, and I'll state it now. I don't care how many people will dog on them. Line 6. I'm sick of my back hurting from carrying amps.
I've got one.
I've
myself.
missed my line
It's solid.
six,
I am
man.
like I used to be super picky and only mess with tube amps. I've had a dual rec. I've had
yeah.
old Orange Rocker verbs. Spent thousands on amps. Solid state is where I'm at right now. Like
Yeah.
my
I'm
back
going
doesn't hurt.
backwards.
Dude, carrying that Bugera that I picked up, I've been recently getting into Bugera too because they have a
Right.
lot of clones of stuff that are a
that
lot
makes some
cheaper.
nice amps.
Oh yeah, well I have a what is it, a JCM 800 clone is what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
And that's gonna be my rig. I'm gonna get my.
You have it.
Carapac,
I don't-
yeah.
I have
That's
that Line
really-
6
yeah.
Spider
I'm
4 that
going
I've been
back
rocking
now.
with right now.
I bought this.
You don't have to worry about it being cold. You don't have to worry.
Right.
It just starts up. But if I'm picking my ideal tone, I do like orange. I'm pretty plain.
Yeah.
I like an
On
orange,
the album, yeah.
fuzzy, distorted sound. Just Tony Iommi. Anything that sounded like Tony Iommi, I'm okay with.
I'll say-
orange TS9, and we're good. We're
Right.
done.
I got this little orange amp here at a bin store, brand
Oh
new.
yeah.
$60.
See, the crush,
RT20.
I'll
They
say
make a head of that. That's the Orange Crush. They have a new one called
Right.
the Super Crush 120.
Okay.
It's 120 watt solid state, $400.
Wow, that's not bad.
That's probably what's going to be my rig from now on. Like,
Right.
period.
I'll say this for like the chain on the record right now for the second record. What we're doing guitar wise is he's using a dual terror,
Yep.
an orange dual terror set to a tiny terror
Okay.
set to what is it? Is it full or is it gain? What is the setting?
No,
I can't
it had a
remember.
bright
God, I
switch
can't
on it.
remember.
It's whatever Amplitude had. It's supposed to be like to be a dual terror because that's why it's a
It's like
dual.
fat. It's like fat.
Yeah, the
or
fat
fat
setting.
or like something like that.
So I used Amplitude when it was 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
Back in the early 2000s, I was using Acid Pro 7,
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
and
yeah.
and I I had gigs of loop samples.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'd go in and build like ambient sleep music and low EDM type stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it was great for recording with as well. You could do a lot of neat stuff with it. And then that's when I was first getting into MIDI, and it was old school MIDI before the USB, but you could still run stuff like Amplitude and whatnot off of it. It was great.
So they've expanded a lot, and they did a lot of collabs with like real companies. So the Orange, there's certain sims that we're using in Amplitude right now that are actually just reproductions of those amps by those
Right.
companies. And it sounds like I have a Soldano that, I mean, dude, on my computer you could plug it up and put it side by side with a Soldano,
Right.
and it sounds exactly the same. You're not like missing anything. Like, it's amazing. Technology has come a long, long
I used
way.
a
Yeah.
I used a Line 6 Firehawk.
Dude,
for
those
my
were
first-
killer. I had
Yeah.
one. I had the Firehawk 1500, the big one.
Yeah.
Yep.
My cat knocked over like a coffee cup onto it, ruined it, and they don't make that amp anymore.
Oh,
Dude,
wow.
those were insane.
Yeah.
I loved that thing.
Yeah.
Spider 4. I want to get
Well, it was
I want
weird
my
because
Spider 4 back.
the
He got
Firehawk
one.
amps, the whole niche with them
Yeah.
was, it was a whole PA setup in the speakers in the amp.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Right.
like
Mhm.
just your 112
Yeah.
or 212. It had a 112. It had a sub. It had tweeters in it. It had a
Yeah.
horn. Like it was a whole PA setup for them.
Oh, it's a
And they
great sound.
sounded insane.
And you can control everything through your phone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's how I have to use mine, and why I don't use it anymore,
Mhm.
because the buttons are
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
worn
yeah,
that
yeah.
I have to control everything on my phone with
Yeah,
that.
modeling has gotten insane. Like I used to be super, because you know me explaining the guitar tone. I was like, before you couldn't find an orange
Right.
rock reverb sound with vintage Celestians.
Yeah,
But, you know,
you couldn't
now,
just
like,
recreate it on the fly
Amp,
like you can
amp
now.
modeling has gotten crazy. Like
Oh, yeah.
Amplitude, the Tonex pedal that I almost picked
Mhm.
up for the show, instead of a rig,
Yep.
it's a whole pedal that you can just capture amps.
Yeah.
They've
You
got
take it
people.
into a guitar store and be like, hey, I want to test this amp out. Plug that pedal up
You
to
just
it,
get it.
and
You
you can
just
steal
have
that amp.
Yeah.
And just walk out with that on your little pedal. You don't need to buy it. Why would you buy it? You got the pedal. It's on
Right.
there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
And then people have already people upload them just like that Firehawk system where you can go find someone else's settings.
Yeah.
Same thing. You can just throw it
Just
straight
download
onto
it.
the pedal.
Wow.
And then you DI in, and that's
Yep.
it.
Wow.
So yeah, in the second album, Chain, he is using, so it's 2 amps combined. It's a Friedman, just like their classic gold plate that they had back in the day, just like I don't remember what model.
You talked
it
about
was,
Allison
but
Chains,
yeah.
Jerry Cantrell's.
Yeah, his original, it's basically the same as that. It's a Freeman and then a Orange Tiny Terror. I'm using a Bugera clone that's like their boutique Bugera clone, and I can't think of what the model is on it, and then a Diesel VH4 clone. I mean, because again, in my honest and humble opinion, I think the Diesel VH4 is potentially one of the best metal amps that was ever created. And
Fair enough.
it's just
That's not how you pronounce orange.
and I'm okay with that. It's my opinion.
Nothing rhymes with orange, right?
I'm okay with that. But so, and then for lead tones, we're actually doing something different. His
Yeah.
lead tone is a Mesa. I think it's like
I think it was the 2CI, like
Yeah.
John Petrucci's.
it's like a
Messenger that he was
2CI
using.
clone that they did for Amplitude, and it sounds really really good for his lead tones. And I'm actually using a Engel Powerball for my leads. So yeah.
I started getting into prog metal a little bit, like Dream Theater,
I love
and,
Dream
and
Theater.
listening to some stuff like
Their
that.
new album's insane too. Their new album's really really good. They
Yeah.
got Mike Portnoy back
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
playing
Oh.
for them again.
Oh.
So that's it sounds really good.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing guitar work, and I've always been a big fan of prog rock, but my prog rock days were
oh yeah.
like Yes and
Yeah.
Alan Parsons Project and
Alan Parsons.
you know, stuff like that, just weird, obscure stuff, and then listening to it actually progress through the years. You know, the '80s brought out some pretty wild stuff too, and nowadays there's some pretty wild progressive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So outside of what I play with these guys, which is you're more, it's hard to pinpoint it. Like groove, metal, southern
I just-
rock.
To me,
There's hints of death metal in there too, but I
Right.
think there's just like other influence that we have.
in my younger years, it was like this connotation of Southern metal. But in my older years, I've kind of adopted the Greg Allman theory of like it's hard to call something Southern rock.
Right. Yeah.
Because rock comes from Mississippi Delta blues.
Right.
And okay, so let's break this down even further. Okay, so rock comes from Mississippi Delta blues. We threw it over to England. They give us Black Sabbath, right? We catch the ball back, right? And well, even before that, with like Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and all that stuff, man, you know, and Johnny
Holly.
Cash and
Oh, yeah,
Buddy
the whole
Holly,
deal.
and and then fast forward to the '80s and look at Florida.
Yeah.
Death metal and all that comes from Florida. It comes from the South. It comes
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
that's it. That's the southern part of the United States has been the creator of a lot of really good genres of music, from hip hop to rock to
Oh yeah.
metal
Oh,
to
absolutely.
all of that.
Absolutely.
You know, and
I think it's because you got to be tough to live down there.
yeah,
Because everything will eat you.
yeah,
You
Or,
know,
or
it's-
you get blown away, or
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
right.
swept off in a wave or something.
It's America's
yeah.
version of Australia.
Yeah.
literally, yeah.
Swept
Yeah,
off by.
except you can own a
yeah.
gun.
Yeah.
I
Right.
want to give some shout outs real quick. White Turkey, how you doing? Anthony Pierce, good to see you.
Anthony.
Tommy, how you doing? We're just hanging around chatting tonight. Their drummer didn't show up and no gear, so we're just sitting around talking and shooting the breeze and talking about the scene. Hi Neva, how you doing? Eddie, how you doing? Good to see you. George Paul, how you doing? Hey Trace.
Hello, everybody. Wow. Thanks for tuning
Mr.
in.
Maggard, how you doing? Hi Beth, hi Ashley. Caleb, how you doing, sir? Don't work too hard up there. Oh, there just went all the comments.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, everybody. We'll get back to you later. Just wanted to say hi to everybody real quick.
How long have you guys been playing together?
Oh man, us two for a total now of what, 15 years?
15 years.
15
Okay.
years, yeah.
And then how long have you been playing with us?
God, I had memories pop up the other day, like
Like 4 years.
yeah,
It's
like
been
yeah.
about 4
I didn't
years
think
now.
it was that long.
Oh, okay,
About 4 years
okay.
now, yeah.
I was like, because I was about to say, I was about to be like, well, like I think like a year and a half,
So
2
the
years.
you-
But then the other day on Facebook, it was like something I tagged you in like 2020. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this has been way too long.
I got pictures of us. So it's weird because he came into the fold right at the end of us releasing our first record,
Okay.
and I've got pictures of us. It's kind of cool sentimental pictures, but it's like of us like knighting him in a way with like the guitars.
Right.
It's kind of cool, and
Right.
but with the first album font on
Oh,
it,
yeah.
like yeah. And I saw that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He came in during the first album. We were still using that like logo. Wow, yeah.
the
Because
first
we've
album
kind of
logo.
tried to change our logo up each record. Originally,
Aside from now, because I think
Yeah.
the one that we have now we're keeping.
oh yeah, it's probably gonna stay as our logo for a good while. I'm pretty
Yeah.
happy with it.
Logo branding, man. I tell you.
Yeah.
You got a good brand and a sharp logo. It'll
Yeah.
catch people's eye. That's what you want. You
But
know?
kind of what influenced us originally with it was we were gonna do like an ever-changing logo that was like the same, but that like evolved in a
Right.
way, like Mastodon and bands
Right.
like that. But then we hit this second record logo because it's the theme of it is kind of like a space odyssey in a way. I hate to say it like that, but it's like it's just kind of like a space sci-fi kind of story. So we needed a more science fiction kind of style logo.
Right.
And what we landed on actually just fits more for a good solid metal logo. Like it's just a good logo. It works, I'm happy with it, like in all regards, honestly.
Nice.
Because we do
Cool.
all of that in house too,
Right.
as well as recording and things. Yeah.
You
Cool.
said y'all do all y'all's in-house recording.
Yeah.
And y'all are running everything into y'all's.
Into
the
DAWs,
car.
into computers, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, man. It's like dead silent when we record outside. It's actually really confusing to most people who sit in the studio and listen to it, probably because it's just like to them they're just hearing like an electric guitar unplugged.
Yes.
And
Yes.
like
Right.
Yeah.
someone hitting like electric drum pads, but then like live cymbals too. So it's just like they're just hearing cymbals.
Yeah.
And it's like they're probably sitting there like, this is
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah.
What is going
Yeah.
on? And then you hear the final product, and you're like,
Right.
oh wow, it's such a night and day experience. Yeah.
Well, and that's going to be part of the thing of what we already have talked about is
Right.
getting more headphones available for guests
Yes,
to come and sit
yeah.
around
Right.
the area.
Yeah.
Because it's a different experience.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So yeah, trying to adjust sound and stuff through this has been, it's such a learning curve.
Yeah. Live sound is different from studio sound. I'll tell you that now.
And then broadcast sound is a complete different animal on top of that. So trying to find that positive fortune teller.
I say most
happy
musicians.
medium.
Yeah.
I say most musicians go one of two ways. You either go into studio sound or live sound. I got into studio sound. I wanted to figure out how to record it because that was the big part of it. I remember my dad always said, "Man, if I could just record myself." And then eventually he got it. He started discovering DAWs and things like that, which put me onto it. And I'm like, "Oh no, Fruity Loops, FL Reaper. Okay, let's see what I can play with."
I had Fruity Loops Pro, the second one as my first one.
Wow.
And I had a Tascam 4-track, little silver with a cassette player in it, and that was my first. Wow. That was my first recording studio. Check it out.
Yeah.
Look what I can do, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
And it blossomed into this bad habit, eventually over the years. But that's something I think that every musician should go out there and painstakingly learn to how to record your own music.
Oh, it is so weird though, man, because I've recently started recording my own stuff. Like I'm very, very new to it, and you spend I think I've been playing guitar 29, so 17 years now, and then you spend all this time just learning how to not suck at your own instrument,
right?
And then you finally you're like, okay, I'm pretty good now, and then you're like, shit.
Now record
it sounds horrible recorded.
Yeah.
It sounds horrible.
Check out my demo, guys. Oh my god, it sounds so terrible. Don't mind that. Just listen to the musical ideas.
Right, yeah.
It's our first album in a nutshell, to be honest.
And our first album was rushed. It was rushed production just because we put a deadline on ourselves. And we should, in hindsight, we should have spent a little bit more time in the mixing process and the mastering process. Because it's not really an example. It's really more an example of just what happens when you put a lot of pressure on a band who is, who is their own production team and is their own recording and is their own label and all of that.
Right.
And we just put so much pressure on ourselves during that time and didn't have things ready that we should have at a certain amount of time. And it kind of caved, and the final product, like I said, listen to it. It's great. The musical ideas are there, they're solid songs,
Right.
It's a little rough around the edges.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
But even because our first EP, if you listen to that sound quality wise, it's almost like two different things. Our EP sounds like it should have been our album. You know what I mean? But that's because we took time on it, but it was a lot less songs. We bit off more than we can chew for a first record.
Right.
Instead of the normal 8 to 9 songs, it was 18.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So,
wow.
Well, but that's
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I came into
that.
I came into that.
That's like you get a double album, man.
Yeah. Well,
that's old school.
Yeah, and the reason for it was just because we had some of those songs we had just been kicking around for so long, we needed to get them done and get rid of them. And by the end of the process, in the mixing and mastering process, it wasn't even does this sound good or not. It's okay, we're done with that.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. I'm so glad to just get done with
10 years in the making, finally, I'm done. Our first record we wrote for 12 years before we released it. Some of those songs we wrote when we were 15.
Sick of playing them.
16. We wrote those songs so long ago, but spent years, molding them into this, what it should be. And when you hear them live, you can tell, But that's another thing I love is because, the first record might not sound the best, but then when you hear those songs live, you're like, oh my God, that's what it's supposed to sound like. That's, it represent, and honestly, we've always kind of been that band. We represent ourselves better live than on recording, just because we fought so long to try to get a good recording sound. And that was one of the most difficult processes for us. Was we want to have an ever evolving quality, right? As a musician, your sound and recording, you just want it to get better and better and better. So we had solid ideas for a better sound on the first record, and if we would have spent more time refining them, it probably would have came out sounding a lot better, like we would have wanted it to sound. And I think our more recent like covers and demos and things that we've been covers. We've been doing a couple covers here and there on YouTube. We did Grinder by Judas Priest and Omerta, and if you listen to those, that's more of kind of like a snapshot of like
what we got going on right now.
What the first record probably should have sounded like, because we took time on that and we've honed our craft. And the second record is going to sound 10 times that. I mean, even the demos for the second record sound better than the first record just on raw production alone. So,
Right.
That
There it goes. You spend the time on it to do it right. That's what you get. You get a good product.
Mm-hmm.
You said you're
Absolutely.
on the YouTube there?
Yeah.
Where-
Kossatot. Kossatot.
And you can do Grinder by Judas Priest. Grinder.
Yeah, Grinder. Oh, yeah, it's not going to pop up under there. You're going to have to search it. And then it'll say, "Do you mean this?" Oh, no, there we are. Yeah, first thing that popped up.
Cool,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, we're there. And then that's got our demos, our EP, our first album. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
there.
I'm
First
talking about. That
album,
one's
yeah.
a little rough.
It's there.
Rough around the edges.
Yep.
With the green EP and then the covers that we have up right now are
I like the name.
That's the green EP, yeah.
You mean the one
Let
we
me-
can't play no more?
Let me see if I
Wow,
can.
which one?
You
share
know which
this.
one.
That's
for
the more
green EP.
bluesy style, kind of
Oh,
psychedelic
no.
rock stuff that I feel would be more
Daniel
y'all's
Johns
alley
wants
in
his
that one.
cigarette money.
Oh, yeah. We covered...
That's what sucks. I came into the band. I love playing that. I didn't even listen to that band, and I was like, man, I fucking love playing this song. And then we can't play it no
Silverchair,
more.
man. Yeah, Silverchair.
I
So
love some Silverchair.
yeah, you like
man.
Silverchair?
Yeah.
So that's actually how we bonded and formed this whole demon right here. Is back in 8th grade, I was in like a punk band at the time, more like a Nirvana ripoff band. We were called Bleach. Literally trying to I wanted to be Kurt Cobain so bad for some reason, but then so everybody else was like grunge and Kurt Cobain, and then a bug bit me and I found the Sex Pistols and I was like, dude, forget Nirvana. That's what I want to do. That's punk. That's
Right.
That's what Kurt Cobain would have wanted. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's rock and roll, dude. Like, and so I did my hair like Johnny Rotten and everything, and I was like trying to dress myself in trash and shit going to school like that, and still had the band Bleach, but we had no drummer, and I had some guy I was trying to teach guitar to, and it just wasn't working out. And so I'm coming out of school one day, and I walk out front, and I see this tall, skinny, lanky, redhead kid standing out there with this long red hair in a Sublime shirt. And I walk up, and I'm just like, "Hey, man, do you play music?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Do you play drums?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, my band needs a drummer." And he's like, "Actually, my band needs a drummer." And I'm like, okay, we start prodding each other back
Right.
and forth, like how serious,
Right,
like
right.
as you do. And come to find out, I mean, just at the end of the day, it was just like, man, okay, this dude's, in my head, I'm like, this dude's he knows what he's talking about, and it's not some kid I gotta teach again, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
so yeah, dude, let's jam. And it took us, they were reluctant at first to jam with me. They were a little bit older than me, so I understand it, They were a couple years older than me. But eventually they did. They had me over. We sit and talked about influences, everything, and then we started jamming.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is kind of history from that. We started out as a grunge band, and here we are 15 years later as promoting a melodic tech death record.
No, lineup after lineup.
Right on.
There's
there was I mean,
a revolving door.
we had a core. We had like a core of set guys, and then there was a lot of guys that just came and went around that core.
Right.
So originally we were a 3-piece with me and him and our original vocalist, which we have some videos of that up on YouTube as well.
Cool.
And we ended up parting ways with him, and we also had other guitar players and drummers, and I did switch from drums to rhythm guitar first, as we were kind of transitioning from being a grunge band to we had a guitarist at the time who he just wanted to play the Strokes all the time, so we were kind of transitioned from being a grunge band to being a Strokes cover band.
Okay.
Yeah, we were like the Strokes cover band.
Okay.
I saw them a couple of years ago.
And I was like, well, I dig the Strokes, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was like, yeah, I'll play rhythm, that's cool. I mean, I already knew how to play a little bit of guitar at that point. I wasn't like playing it super hardcore, but I started playing at 13 and smashed out power chords here and there, but starting to learn the Strokes, I was like, oh, I kind of fleshed out my playing a little bit. And then I got into guitar heavy, and the rest was history. And then we lost we didn't have a drummer because I stopped playing drums, and we decided we needed a drummer. And our vocalist at the time was more into like softer kind of grunge and stuff. He didn't really want to play metal, but we gave him an ultimatum. We're gonna get a drummer, and we're gonna be a metal band, and you can either stay in the band or leave. And he stayed with us at first, but we found this kid that was playing with some other metal musicians, and ding dong light goes off. Let's steal him. Let's steal him from his band. Let's go get that guy. Hey,
so
we're
that
better
was
than them.
That was
you
the
know,
thought
like,
process.
yeah.
They were like fixing to break up.
Oh
so
yeah, it wasn't like we even stole him
Right.
anyway. In hindsight, after he told us, he was like, "Nah, man, we were on the out anyway, dude. I haven't played with him in like months." It's like, "Oh, okay, you know." So we really didn't steal him, you know.
Right.
But
right,
in our
right.
minds, we
In
were
our
like,
minds,
yeah.
we were like, "We stole the best drummer in the town," like. You know? And it was very much like that because Nick's audition was one of the craziest things ever. Because we're all like. That was TMI, definitely heard it in the background, yeah. But no, we bring Nick over, and I'm asking him about influences and stuff, and I'm just like, "Hey man, do you know any Avenged Sevenfold?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so we start playing that country, and then he like finishes the song, and he like looks at me, and he's like dripping sweat.
There's a back door right
Yeah,
behind the drum
There's a
set.
back door like right behind the drum set, and he just like jumps up and opens the back door and just starts throwing up.
Oh.
And I'm like, dude, he's in. He's in. That's the guy. Like, nobody better. Like, and yeah, you know, long story short, man, long time after we had been through a lot of trials and tribulations, we lost our original vocalist, and you know, we floated around trying to look for singers and stuff here and there and other guitar players to kind of back me up so I didn't have to do all the full singing. But around 2017, I decided to take over vocals full time. And we actually do have something in the canon right now with a vocalist, kind of like a vocalist in training type thing, because he doesn't really have screaming down yet, but we're trying to work on that with him and get that up to par. But until then, I may... And you know, it may happen. You know, I may remain main vocals. You know, it's just I'm not very fond at doing vocals, but I know I can do them, and I know what our vision is.
I
And
like to sing every now and again.
Yeah,
I have a problem with words and
I used to.
memorization.
yeah. I still kind of do in that regard. I will drop some lyrics here and there every now and then, and just and in metal, it's a little bit easy to get away with that. Kind of, because you can just rah, you know, sometimes.
Right,
Oh
right.
man, I already suck at my own instrument. I can't.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, when you start doing some gutturals, people don't know what you're saying anyway.
Right.
And there's some examples of that on the EP where it's like,
drop the dime.
yeah, like I literally said some funny, you know, just funny comedy words that people probably think are still the lyrics, you know.
Oh yeah,
Miss
right.
Miss
It sounds
Producer,
like it rhythmically.
lady,
you know?
could you hold that up closer to the microphone if you're playing it on your phone?
What is it? What?
I hear it in the background.
Sounds like Stone Me.
Yeah.
That's a good one to play. That's not really a heavy song.
That's a
It's more of
crowd
our
favorite, actually.
kind of like just a good old song.
Cool.
I don't know how to explain it, man. It's kind of bluesy. It's a little heavy. It's got some screamy stuff in it and some heavy parts, but there's a lot of soul in it, and vocally it's one that the take on the EP that I did here is one of my favorite vocal takes that I've ever done. I mean, and this is, you'll see what I mean, because a lot of vocalists, it's like one or the other. You either sing or you scream.
Right.
And it's like, so which one, you know, it's like, which one are we going to do here? And I can do both. I've always been able to sing pretty well and scream pretty well. So I studied. As a kid, I just studied all of my idols as much as I could to a T. I wanted to be them so bad that I would become them. And try to, as much as I could, just be like, all right, I'm Jim Morrison this week. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm Lane Staley. You know. And it paid off, man, because it taught me how to sing. And I don't like to sing. I did it for my own personal thing of just singing along with songs in my house, because my dad always used to tell me, if you're going to sing it, you might as well sing it right. You know?
Right,
So,
right.
And that's a good point, you know? So I learned how to sing it right, you know? And because of that, I think I've got a singing style that's kind of died in today's metal scene.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So a lot of guys really don't do that. I mean, a lot of guys are either clean vocals or it's screaming. And I'll shut up so you can hear me. False chord screams, man. It's interesting to hear me doing false chord highs now in hindsight, because I don't really use that style of screaming for highs anymore. That was just more out of not really knowing how to do what I wanted to do, so I was just kind of compensating in a way. And it has its place, but it's not necessarily what I would go for with my highs now, because it can damage your throat, and I gotta preserve it if I'm singing, you know. So
This has a really nice 90s hard rock grunge sound to that. I like that.
yeah, it was a bit. This one was one that people wanted to hear for sure when we released it. And we did like a little tour on the EP, and this was one that we got a lot of feedback from. That people they was like, oh, that song, you know, and
it's so simple.
yeah, it's always the simple ones.
yeah.
It's always the very just
That's true.
easy. Yep.
That's right. Yeah. You could do a song with 140, it'd be a big seller.
Yep. Oh yeah.
You could have something like a, Chopin or something.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I ain't buying that.
Oh, that's too flashy.
Yeah,
That's too something,
Yep. I think that was kind of the point with the geese situation I was talking about too,
Right.
because like
I got turned on to them last year, earlier this year.
yeah, they're so good, man.
Hey, John Brown, how you doing?
John
How
Brown.
you doing?
Right on. Right
I
on.
like that. I like
It's
that.
so weird to hear everything too, like on record versus us playing live.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause
Right. Well, you can do so much more in the studio that you can't do live.
Oh,
we're,
yeah. I'll talk about
we're,
that one sometime.
man,
But-
we're guitar nerds, so like
Yeah.
most of the time we're like, there's so many guitar harmonies and solo stuff that we
Oh.
do live.
Yeah,
that
we play around
you're
with
on record.
harmony live.
Right.
Like you'll just most of the time on record you'll get like a straightforward version of it, and then like Omerta, our cover of Omerta. Like we were talking about, if you're gonna do something, put your little spin on it.
Right.
Well, originally we had our own spin on it in the way we played it. There's a section of it that we kind of do our own type of way, and we add our own little weird time skip in there, and it's kind of cool. But there's something else that we changed with me and Bryce, where it's like I add a harmony to the main riff that's not there on their version, and it's also not on our recorded version. But I will add it live just because it sounds so good, like, and it's just a feeling, it's that emotion you just, that's what I talk about, it's visceral and it's in the moment. We're a metal band, and we follow a lot of traditional standards of today as far as the music industry goes, but I cannot stress enough, we know how to jam, and
Right.
nowadays don't, and, there's been a lot of music that have said better than I have, so I'm not gonna preach on jamming, but if you know how to jam, there's a feeling in it it's in the moment, and it's like Zappa said with his guitar solos. Some guys practice their solos back to front, and they play them spick and span every night, and it's the same solo, and it's just spot on, and they're phenomenal at it. I'm specialized at my instrument. I know I got a time slot, and I know roughly how much time I got to do it and what key I'm in, and I'm going for the stars.
There you go.
And you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's.
I'm aiming for the bleachers.
Yeah. Sometimes what I play live might be similar to what I play on record, just because that's what I'm feeling in that moment.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? But
Yeah.
it is very much like it's very much going off feel, and there is some things we do live, and that's why I consider us more groove metal now than anything.
I like that.
Is because
Jamcore.
yeah, kind of, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, in a way, yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
With
I like
such
it.
a widespread, like all three of these albums, even the new one that we're working on.
Oh, the
currently.
genre level is just like it changes each record. Like,
But it's
yeah.
drastic. Like it's not
That's
like
cool.
small.
That's cool
Yeah.
though. That's showing all your influences
Yeah.
as you go through.
Because that
That's
when
very
we
cool.
met,
That's
when,
very cool.
When I joined the guys, like when me and John met, I'd worked at this vape shop in Fort Smith. He's like, well, I'm probably going to hire another guy. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just have to babysit someone else. That's awesome. And then he's like, well, you'll probably like him. He likes like metal and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but what does that mean? That could be...
Right.
Well, because
And
we
his
had this
first
talk.
day, we just go back and
Yeah.
forth. Like, you like this song? Okay, yeah, but do you know this song? Do you know this song?
Right.
Do you know this song? And then...
The
Nah,
game, that's that standoff
Yeah.
game I'm talking about
Yeah.
that me and
Yeah.
Chris had as kids. And one of those bands was Silverchair. And that's what sold me on Chris, is because I was like, because it was like the most obscure band I could think of at my little 13-year-old brain could muster up, you know? And I'm just like, you know any Silverchair? And he's like, yeah, dude, Tomorrow's an awesome song. And I'm like, dude, I'm jamming with y'all. Like,
Right.
you're cool. You know
yeah,
who
but that's...
Silverchair is. Like,
It's not the same. You tricked me. First off, I thought... before these guys, like we had talked about earlier, man, like, I'm 29. A lot of the people my age when I was growing up, especially getting into playing music and playing music live, like in high
Those
school and
hardcore
stuff like
and
that,
yeah.
they wanted to play, like, a lot of bands, like Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine.
Metalcore and
metalcore and
hardcore.
deathcore stuff, Suicide
Right.
Silence.
Whitechapel.
Whitechapel. But I spent all these years, like, man, I like Sabbath, and I like Ozzy, and I
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, Rat, and I like Motley
Rat.
Crue, and no one else, everyone my age are like, no, I want to...
I think we're frozen.
I'm frozen.
Are we frozen?
Are we frozen?
We're frozen.
Chris,
Have you tried changing the camera angle? Pardon me, we're having technical
have
difficulties.
you
It's
tried?
funny because he's like really talking. He's like,
Oh yeah, there we go. It changed camera angles, but it's still showing frozen.
Yeah.
Hey Stormy, how you doing? Good to
so
see
why
you.
don't
What you-
y'all say your goodbyes.
What's
Yeah,
that? Is it
we
time?
can do that.
probably so. It's freezing up too.
6 minutes, but for some reason my
Looks like it's an
Negative
internet
issues.
issue.
Well, guys.
Well, God bless
but we
America.
sound great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Cool.
good.
The audio's
Pretty
Yeah,
there.
it
Good.
sounds good in the headphones.
Good.
That sounds like all of our shows.
We sound great. Don't
Shit
look at
happens,
us.
like, yeah, but we sound cool.
Yeah. Right.
Don't look
Well,
at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's set a date up after the show
Yeah.
and get the whole band out
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
man.
You
We'll
know,
come down and
we
kill it.
posted the Green album to
Okay, yeah.
to
yeah.
our chat here and on the
Cool,
page
cool.
and whatnot, and we'll get people to listen to it.
Awesome,
Are y'all on
man.
Spotify or anything
Yep,
like that? too?
Spotify, Apple Music,
Cool.
Amazon. We're on
Deezer,
everything.
yeah.
Deezer,
Cool.
Tidal.
Okay.
Cool. We're on Facebook and
Sonos.
YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
And-
We'll share your stuff, dude, and we'll promote
Yeah,
you guys, man.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
We're trying to expand. I'd like to get over to Spotify and get my nickel every 10 years.
It's not too
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
It's not too
Right.
bad, you
So-
know.
Yeah.
But-
We get a portion of it taken out because of our. That's what we were talking about earlier. Our cover tune royalties for Israel's Son. It's like $12 that we pay Daniel Johns every year for.
Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's cool. We released the song or whatever, but that's why we've started doing covers on YouTube now. Is because we want to pay homage to those guys and put our spin on it, but instead of it causing this commotion of like, because it causes an issue anytime we try to withdraw royalties and things like that.
Right.
So instead of it being that whole process, we just want to do it to show respect to them and pay homage to them in that way, where it's like it's free. It's to the
Yeah.
public. Everybody
Yeah.
can hear
Right.
it. You
Yeah.
know?
Speaking of YouTube and cover songs, I was I like to play the drums a little bit too, and
Yeah.
I learned "Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress"
Oh,
by
yeah.
the
Oh, that's a
Hollies.
good
That's
one.
dope. Yeah.
And I thought I was doing a really good job, and I put it up on the YouTube, and they shut my channel down for like 48 hours
So
for-
yeah,
because of copyright
Copyright.
infringement.
Copyright
I'm like, it
infringement.
wasn't even that good, y'all. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
The
really.
trick,
Yeah.
the trick to it is you got to put a disclaimer in the comments that say you don't own the rights to any of the music, even it, and it's ridiculous. And I'm gonna be honest, it's so ridiculous because even us posting our own music on Facebook,
We get copyright strike.
we will get copyright
Really?
strike for
Yes.
posting our own music.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What's that? Like the dude
That's
from
wild.
Foghat got sued
Yeah.
for sounding like the dude from Foghat?
No, it's
Well-
John Fogerty.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
Credence,
Yeah.
Credence
For
Clearwater.
Yeah, that's
he
who it
sounded
was.
too much.
Yeah.
like
That's who it
Credence,
was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey Fogerty, you sound too much like
Yeah.
Fogerty. Give us money.
Yeah.
So yeah, even in our own
We need
videos,
some
we
money.
have to type that. Yeah, we do not own the rights to this music.
I mean, and that's-
even though we do.
Yeah.
Right.
We own
Right.
every bit of the rights to that.
Right.
music,
Yeah.
but-
Man,
Yeah.
that's gonna
I
be
can.
frustrating.
Yeah, we control the masters. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I don't know. I don't think anybody owns the rights since Beethoven. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody's been stealing from him ever since then.
That's the thing, man.
Joke's on you, I'm horrible
Yeah.
at
And
improv.
that's-
I just play Crazy Train every
Right,
time.
yeah, right.
That's another thing that a lot of young kids got the misconception on too, is the originality pool. Is a lot of them think it comes from like what you play or what notes you play or something like that. And my favorite quote on that is what George Harrison said. Like, it makes me scared to write music because I'm scared I'm going to be touching somebody else's note.
Right.
Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's not how music has ever been made. And in my grandparents and my great-grandparents, they grew up just playing on a porch, playing old folk songs and hymns that got passed down through generations.
Yes, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, those songs weren't owned. Nobody was like,
Yeah.
don't play that or I'm suing you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know? And
No,
then
I
it's
rip off
crazy to
Zach Wild
think
all the
because
time.
in like a 10 to 20 year
100%.
span from that, my grandma and my grandfather would be shut down in the 70s for playing cover
Right.
tunes. Like,
Right. Right.
it's crazy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was another great show. Our producer's looking at us, giving me the stink eye.
Like I said, it's just one
Uh,
still shot.
Yeah,
They're
just
about-
one
Awesome.
still shot still.
About
So
to send
yeah,
the big
I forget. I
hook
keep
out.
looking like, when's it going to change?
She's fixing to bring the hook.
Well, thanks for coming out, guys,
No
and
problem.
hanging
Yeah.
out with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Nice to meet you
we'll
guys.
have you all
Look
on
forward to
again
having you
and
back.
Oh, yeah, we'll come back, man, for sure.
play some
Cool.
music and
Yeah,
plug
dude,
some
yeah.
stuff in, and
All right.
our fans like it. They love the music. So,
Yeah, man.
Ladies and
where
gentlemen,
y'all
Kossatot.
playing? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was just saying, Kossatot. Good
Yeah.
job.
Where
Yeah.
y'all playing next in Fort Smith?
We're not playing in Fort Smith next. We're playing in Valentine's Day in Fayetteville
In
at
Fayetteville,
Waystone
yeah,
Pizza.
yeah,
Cool.
Waystone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right on.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll check it out. Y'all have, it was great meeting y'all. Hey,
Yes, sir.
everybody, if you
You
can
too,
still
man.
hear us, if the camera freezes, we're sorry
Later,
about
we're
that.
waving. You can't see
Yeah.
it, but we're
Right.
waving.
We're all waving
They
randomly.
may come through later.
We love you. Stay blessed.
know.
Thanks for tuning in for another wonderful night on Blue Mondays. We'll talk to
Peace
you
out.
soon.
See you next week.
Bye bye.
Oh, yeah, that's-
Cut.
It's freezing because it's freezing.
Oh, yeah?
It must be cold outside.
Yeah, or no, I was thinking about that though. Hey,
Camera's starting to freeze out.
We could
Right.
talk to Jesse and them at Temple Live. Have you guys ever thought about doing this in a live setting?
Well, I'm trying to get it done on a radio station, and we're eventually